Hello. I got some very exciting post this morning, which I thought I would do a wee video of, just to explain it, because I said to the person who sent me said post that I would do a little blog post, and I think video might be better, and if not better, at least quicker. But I think the thing will become apparent. So what it is this. It's my artist's proof of container, which is a project that Tim Milne at ARTOMATIC asked me if I wanted to be a part of, and it is Tim's exploration of what is a magazine when it doesn't have to be a magazine anymore. So if a magazine, so if all the information and all the text that a typical magazine might have in it can be delivered by the internet, and delivered more effectively because it can change and reference itself and change so that the present influences the past as much as the past influences the future. What remains of magazines and periodicals. So this is container number 1. Tim, as I don't know what Tim thinks of himself as, but I think of him as the editor of the piece, of the magazine, of whatever this thing is. He set a theme, and he asked the people who contributed to talk about that theme, and that theme is hot and cold. So, opening up. I think, so I have seen this before, and I've seen all the pieces, so I will not feign surprise and delight. I will just tell you about them in the way that I feel about them, the way that they make me feel, I guess. I love the fact that sort of like this edition of Container, because it's hot and cold, comes in the polyester or polystyrene packaging, which you package hot and cold food in. So yes, so this is. Oh, it's got a band. Oh, I've got a. Oh, I know it's just paper, but I hate. Oh. It always makes me feel sort of like this. There's no going back whenever you undo a belly band. Let's try and do it gently. Oh, come on. And it's even, I don't know if you can see that, but printed container number 1, hot and cold, in the polystyrene. It's beautiful. So, inside, container, hot and cold. We open it up. It has a list of. Oh, it smells amazing. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's the material that smells like that. But it's got a list down here of all the materials included inside the container. It's amazingly tactile. And then we've got the pieces. So how am I going to take them out? What will I go for first? So this thing is the scarf, which is by Daniel Etuk, who's artist, designer. What I will do is I'll take the whole thing out and tell you about the scarf first, but just to sort of to point out what you have in the bottom is the sort of like the sheet that tells you who's all part of it. So you've got Accept and Proceed, James Bridle, Daniel Etuk, Malcolm Garrett, David Hyatt, Layla Johnson, Mother, Rebecca and Mike, Nick Roop and Violetta Boxall, and John me. Oh yeah. Idiot. That's the course that's right. So I will tell you about each of the things in turn, I think. And let's go for the scarf first. So this scarf is by Daniel Etuk, and it's lovely. But I know that, what it is a Scottish. It's got all the things wrapped up in it. It's brilliant. It is a very traditional Scottish fabric, but done in a Hawaiian print. So the idea of hot and cold coming together in actually something that's just beautiful and amazingly useful and stuff. And so it's one of these things that's as soon as you get into a box and stuff like that, you go sort of like, oh, I could give that to this person and give that to that person, and they'd really love this and they'd really like that. But some people will be so, oh no, I want to keep this. This will be a collector's item. I want to keep this in one place and never give any of it away. But I think I might give some of it away. I think kind of like that's what it's for. Which is interesting when you think about magazines, because magazines are sort of like you give to one person, and you perhaps might say, I'm going to give you this thing from this magazine, and you should just read that thing on that page, and it's bound together. Whereas the point of these things is they are not bound together because they don't have to be sort of like put together on the spine of a book or so on. Anyway, Daniel's scarf is beautiful, and I might give that to my wife. Next, Layla's thing. So I won't do it in alphabetical order. I'll just do the order that they come off the thing. Layla's is about the temperature of things. And funnily enough, I saw Layla because I was up doing the folksy summer school talk last weekend, and she's moved to Sheffield. And so when Tim talks to her about the project, she was just in the middle of her first winter in Sheffield. And I suppose if you're based in the south, as soon as you start going north and having a real experience of what northern and Scottish winters are like, it gets cold. So given she was in her new freezing house, Layla started going around taking the temperature of things and printing them out on a laser printer, which is a delicious idea. So you can say the temperature of the kitchen floor, the temperature of Layla herself, of the cup of tea, of the bathroom, of the kitchen, and of Brodie, the internet's most famous canine. So that's lovely. So that's sort of like, it's the temperature of things in Layla's new thing. When I love it because it just tells the story of someone moving to a new place and sort of like, and what's the sort of like this, the overriding sensory perception of being in that new place, perhaps, and the idea that it's the Brits like to talk about the weather, yes, but the sort of like the underlying thing that's constant in all of that is the temperature, and then whether it is hot or too cold, too hot or too cold. I thought it was funny this summer that sort of like loads of people were complaining, oh, it's too hot for me, it's too hot, and it's like, well, we've been complaining for 4 summers that it's not been bloody warm enough. So so that's why it's raining and miserable outside now. I think all those people who are complaining, fate has dealt you the weather you deserve. So next is. This is Malcolm Garrett's piece, I believe, he says, unwrapping it carefully. Yes, so Malcolm Garrett's piece is a ruler for, but instead of measurements, it's sort of like, it is in Celsius and in Fahrenheit. So you can see what the temperature of things are, and I really like sort of like the way this has been made. I like the wit of the design of sort of like taking one measurement and turning it into the measurement in something else, but it's beautifully put together. So if you can see, there's kind of like a thin stainless steel and cork thing, which is just beautiful. But yeah, changing the way we think about temperature and measurements. It's just a lovely thing to hold and investigate with your fingers as well. So let's go on to there's 2 pieces here that are kind of the same size. So I'll go on to Nick and Violetta's thing, which is it's called Folly. If you pull it out, what it is, it's chip forks. It's a board of chip forks, which, to be fair, is really handy, because we've got here in Plumpton Green we have a fish and chip van which comes every Tuesday. So I might, would it be wrong to use container to use artwork to eat fish and chips from? Probably, but fuck it. So that's what we'll use them for. But what it is, it's taking that thing of sort of hot and cold, so hot chip forks, etc. So it's got the punchlines to lolly jokes on it. Lionel, Rich T, Jason's Donner van, when it's ajar, when it's a door, not a door. a newspaper. I guess that's what's black and white and red all over. No idea which colour with no idea. So it's the punchlines, the jokes that we all know, but on chip forks rather than lolly sticks, which is delightful. And yes, I'm going to use these, or we're going to use these next Tuesday when the fish and chips van comes to Plumpton. Right, on to next. So I think this is beginning to be a test of memory. Actually, I'm now very worried that I'm going to forget whose piece is who and wrongly attribute. But I believe this is Accept and Proceeds, and I'll just do it on camera rather than just looking at it myself. Da, da, da. So it's another beautiful piece, but it's information and data about the North and South Poles on either side. A beautiful sheet of steel. So distances, and just the sort of like the love and work that's gone into this. It's beautiful. Yeah, accept and proceed. And it's one of these, it's an object you can get lost in. Much like the North and South Pole. I find like they've got explorers' roots in there. I love it. It's definitely one for the wall. So next up we'll do David's piece. So David Hyatt, who you'll probably know from Howie's and Hyatt Jeans and the Do Lectures and things like that. So Tim, this will be the thing that smells amazing. Yeah. So it was the scarf smell as well, but it's the pitch pine. And pitch pine smells terrific. Oh yeah. So I think I'm gonna unwrap the whole thing. And because David writes so bloody well, I'm going to read you the thing. And it says, so you get the story here, light one of these sticks and it will burn for hours. How come? Well, they come from the stumps of pitch pine trees that had been cut down at the turn of the century. Their roots kept feeding the abandoned stumps with resin, as if the whole tree was still there. Every hour, every day, every week for nearly a century. Touch them with your fingers and you can still feel the wetness of the resin. Oh yeah. Smell them and you will think you're in an oil refinery. Boil them and you can make turpentine out of them. Nature is amazing. And it's a beautiful thing. But they are now, because I now know that story, and because I know that there's power contained in these things, they are for using. It's kind of like, it seems a shame. In fact, it seems a shame not to use all of this stuff. If it can be used, it should be used. So I might have a go at making turpentine. Actually, we've got some decorating to do. So next, let's do Mother's thing. So this is Current Affairs. It's a book, Current Affairs According to the World's Hottest Thinkers. And I think this is really good because it's current and very topical for what's going on with the world of one specific newspaper today. Because what this is, it is, I'll read you the introduction. The book is a retrospective of some of the most profound thinkers of our time. Collected here in one complete anthology, we give a voice to a generation of unheard speakers, celebrate their wisdom, and look back at some of the hottest issues of recent years. It's news and briefs from The Sun, except that The Sun's images have been cropped and it's just the news stories themselves. So, news and briefs, Chloe says that the EU ruling that will see young women hit with higher car insurance reminds me of the legendary orator Bob Ingersoll, who once said, "Is it 1,000 times better to have the common sense without education than to have education without common sense?" It's, by and large, the deepest thing that any Sun reader has probably read in the whole paper. and yeah, it was hidden away in sort of like with the objectification of women, and something that's distinctly 1970s, and that debate rages on. And I think this is a really lovely, provocative piece, which, whether it was designed around the debate or just designed in isolation of it, I don't know. But I think it makes you think about that as well. So, 3 pieces left, I think? 3 pieces. So this is from Rebecca and Mike. And this is brilliant. And just wickedly funny. So it's a CD. It's foil wrapped. It says one in a series, exclusive to Container. And it says We Meet God. The band's called We Meet God. It's getting colder. And I think, oh, that's interesting. It's a CD, so maybe I'll open it. And so you open it up. Oh, brilliant! It's a CD. I like CDs. Then you open it up, and oh, hang on, no, because the CD inside is Hotter Than Hell by Kiss. So We Made God, it's getting colder. Hotter Than Hell by Kiss. And what Rebecca and Mike did is for every edition of Container contains a specially created CD, which is a cold band or album title juxtaposed with a CD inside of a specifically different band. I like the fact that I've got a religious reference one. I like that a lot. I think it's just a sort of like it is the perfect demonstration of Rebecca and Mike's wicked sense of humour. I shall put that back in the box later. So 2 to go. I'm going to talk about mine last, obviously. But this is. I think this is something that really makes you think. It's by James Bridle, who everything James does really makes you think, which is and think long and hard, not just about the thing he's trying to make you think about, but also the very idea, the way that he creates things to make people think. So I think there's both. It makes you think about his process as well as the thing he's trying to make you think about. And he's made this. It's a 3D printed object. Geometric shape of complexity. And I will read you what he's written. This is a model of the Global Positioning System, GPS, a constellation of 24 satellites in 6 orbital groups of 4 satellites, each orbital plane at 55 degrees inclination and 60 degrees right ascension to its neighbour, 20,200 kilometres above the surface of the Earth, a machine we are all living inside. That is our spaceship. All we need to do is stick a big bloody engine on it and start sending it places. So that's brilliant, that's amazing. And I know exactly what I'm going to do with that as well, because it dangles like this in our kids' room. We've got those glow-in-the-dark planet, the constellation, the solar system, glow-in-the-dark solar system of all the planets, and that is going to fit very nicely amongst them, I feel, to make the children think as well. So finally, the thing I did was this. It's called So Hot Right Now. And so I promised Tim for ages I was going to write a big long blog piece explaining it. So this serves as that purpose, but I'll do it a lot quicker. So in essence, it's my background's in economics, and so I know a lot about old economic stories and sort of the analogies with which economists like to serve up for you to compare your current circumstance to. I think it's I'm really interested in the value, especially of companies at the moment. Especially startups that haven't gone to IPO. How are they valued? These, according to Business Insider in November 2012, are the most valuable non-public startups in order. So Twitter's most valuable, then Dropbox, then Square, then Airbnb, then Pinterest. But they don't really know. They've just used and made up a set of criteria to put certain values on them and estimate what they might be worth. But no one really knows. And the point of the construct in which, on top of which these sit, there's sort of like, there's information inside. So actually, if you went, what happens when you go to IPO? What happens when you open the box? Because it's also a box that you can't get everything. It's like Pandora's box. Once you've gone, it's really hard to get everything back inside. Although people like BlackBerry want to do it at the moment, and people like Dell, they want to go private so they can actually do things again. Once you go to public, you're a slave to the shareholder. You can only do things that benefit the shareholder, which is problematic if you're pretending to serve the user. So, let's open her up. And inside, we have cards. I do lots of stuff in cards, I'm realising this now. Misspent youth perhaps. And in order to get into this, you have to open it again. And there's no way, you can't go back now. You can't stick those back on. And you go, oh, there's more cards. But it's not artifact cards. What it is bubble cards. And so the original bubble cards, interestingly, were done just after the South Sea bubble. And so the South Sea bubble was the South Sea Company was something set up by the government in the early 18th century to say, okay, we can't repay all our debt, but what we can do is, like, anyone that we owe money to, we will give them shares in a new company that we will set up, and we will give this new company exclusive trading rights with the South Sea, so South America in that direction. So that anything that comes off ships from the South Seas will be landed by this company. So any money that is made, and we all know about the riches that are available in South America. Of course, it was a bit of a strange conceit because they had no land in South America, and the Spanish controlled a lot of it. So how they ever thought they were going to actually make money from these voyages and these expeditions and land all these riches from the faraway lands, no one's quite sure. But what the South Sea Company became very good at was not so much creating value, but creating the mechanisms around value. So showing people that they might potentially be worth a lot of money, and therefore people started buying the shares off each other at greatly inflated prices. And this continued and continued, and the shares became more and more valuable. And basically, eventually, somebody turned around and said, some of these ships should be landing just about now, shouldn't they? We should be able to see some of the value coming back. And of course, then people realised that there wasn't really that much money there, that much value. These shares were in essence worthless. And at the time, or just after, someone created something called bubble cards, which were a series of playing cards warning. That's the South Sea Company shares. The bubble cards warned people of the dangers of idle speculation. The best source we have was a Victorian era book called Extraordinary Mass Delusion by Charles Mackay, who said, "Men, it has been well said, think in herds. It will be seen that they go mad in herds, although only they recover their senses slowly, one by one." And that makes me think of the way that we treat a lot of startups now. When they go to IPO, Facebook shares, Groupon shares, money is the society. And money is the barometer of society's value, and that is too true and it's too dangerous. Everyone's very happy when things go to IPO. IPO. Because they think these are worth terrific amounts of money. And actually, all they're doing is creating the impression of things being worth a lot of money. Changing the purpose. And suddenly, people start to realise that these things aren't worth so much money as people might have thought. Bubble cards. I can't get that back in now. And I don't think I can get all that stuff back into the rest of the container box, but never mind. It's something to... Yes, you can buy it as a... Buy it and then unpack it carefully and then pack it away carefully and keep it as a collector's item, but it's actually more fun to get involved in. It's more fun to sort of to play with your fingers and perhaps sort of like get it in the office and unpack it one by one and just think about the things it's trying to tell you. Anyway, that's container. There you go, Tim. I hope that is suitable replacement for doing a blog post on it. I apologise for not busy. But no, I love it. It's sort of, it is a marvellous thing that makes it makes people think. Container, hot and cold.